Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Marketing Share. I'm back in studio with my co-host, Barb.
Hey, Alec.
Hello. All right. Our guest today is a CEO of a really well-known marketing company. So it's always cool when we get someone like this on the show. Super excited about this. His name is Emeric Ernoult, and he is
Yeah,
the founder of Agorapulse, right?
he is. He is. And he's got such a great background. I will tell you, he started as an ex business lawyer and then moved into a startup founder and
Yeah.
now is the CEO. And he tells us a great story about the iterations that have made Agorapulse so popular. I mean, this thing has more than 30,000 users right now.
Yeah.
And he's got so much more on the horizon with AI coming up. I mean, it continues to iterate and change every day.
It does, and I think it's going to be really cool because we will be able to get into him about social media. There's so many questions as a marketer that you've got in social media. Where do I need to be? Like, is it really worth it? But I think he also offers a really good story around just his journey as an entrepreneur. So for entrepreneurial listeners out there, right? I mean, he reminds us that the entrepreneurial path isn't always a straight line, and so he's a living example of that.
Yeah, I know. So let's get going.
Yeah. All right. Let's go talk to Emmerich.
Hey, Alec, how's it going?
Hey, Barb. I'm doing well today. I'm glad to be back in studio with our guest today.
I know. I'm super excited. We have Emeric Arnoux with us, who is the CEO of Agorapulse, which I've been really wanting to talk to recently, only because I'm so into how can we make social media something bigger and better, especially as we manage it for our clients and so forth. So welcome.
Hey, thank you, Barb. Thank you, Alec. I'm very excited to be here as well and try to deliver a little bit of wisdom that I've acquired and hopefully will be helpful for the audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Hey, first off, I just want you to touch on your background a bit. It's an interesting background you've had in corporate law and then moving over to the CEO suite. So tell us a little bit about your journey and give us a quick snapshot of what that looks like.
Yeah, trying to keep that entertaining and as short as I can. So I started as an M&A lawyer, so did the whole legal study and passed the bar and everything. And did that for 4 years. And I realized that it was it's an intellectually challenging job, but very interesting. Well, very well paid. I was very happy about the money, but it was not exciting. I missed the excitement of building something, of having my own thing, of leading my own destiny. And
Mhm.
I realized that if I want to lead my own destiny and build something, I'd have to build my own law firm if I wanted to stay in that line of job. And I realized that, if you build your own law firm versus you build a product company, you're having all the pitfalls and all the downside of being an entrepreneur when working hard, chasing money, getting them to pay your invoices, finding new customer, dealing with HR issues, and you have none of the upside of having a little bit of freedom, having people to build a business for you, so you're not the business, but the business is its own thing. So, long story short, I made the decision that if I want to have my own thing, it should probably not be a law firm. So that's how I transitioned.
Transition away from the service business, not
Yeah,
a bad call.
yeah. Yeah, it's probably a conversation for another podcast. But we had a service business at one point because the product business was struggling, so we compensated by selling services just to survive. And I
Mhm.
have to say that we when we did that after a couple of years, I told my co-founder, I said, what we've done is silly. I am now paid minimum wage to do something that's service based, exactly what I escaped when I left the legal profession. But I'm paid a tenth of what I was paid at the time. This is stupid. So yeah, definitely happy to not be in a service business. This is where I came from, and I didn't want to stay in the service business. My assumption was that when you're in a service business, you're a slave to your business because you're selling your hours, you're selling your time,
Mhm.
basically.
Mhm.
And especially when you're a kind of a small service business, you are the business. Meaning you can have people working for you, but You are the person known, you are the image, you are the face, and people come to you because they've seen you, they've heard about you from someone else, and they say, "Hey, Bart, I want to work with you, Bart. I want to work with Bart, nobody else." And that's the slave. That's where the slavery comes from.
It's not too scalable, is it? Right? Unless you can barb AI agent myself into 27 agents. I don't know.
Now you can build your own agent and with AI, you can scale yourself a little bit, but still there are ways you can scale that, but it's hard. It's harder than when you have a product business. So that's something I realized early on, that I want to be free from that. Now there is a lie behind this whole thing, because you're still a slave to your business. You're a slave to your customers, to your employees, to your shareholders, to your investors when you have investors, and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. You're never entirely free. You always have burden to deal with, and mental, charges that you need to handle. So there's no, the passive income is bullshit. Doesn't exist. There's always
I've heard of it. I've just never seen it in real life. Right?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
People who claim they have it, they actually don't. They have to work for that passive income. They have to actively work to get that passive income. Yeah.
So then how did you start Agorapulse? What prompted you to get into that field?
Yeah, it's a long story as well. Our first business was called Affinities, and it was a technology. It was already SaaS in 2001, and it was already in the community space that then becomes the social media space. So in 2001, we were already building SaaS software that was not a coined term back then. It was ASP, Application Service Provider.
I was around then too. I remember that.
Yeah. You have gray hair?
I do. It's like I'm older than I look. Yes. I had the same thing. I was working for a startup that was in the application service provider ASP model, which eventually became SaaS. So yes.
Yeah. So it was SaaS. It was a software you would use in your browser, exactly the same as of today, with a lot less infrastructure. You had to build everything: your payment system, your recurring system, like your support system. Everything had to be built because none of that existed in 2001.
Yeah.
So Affinities, the promise was that you could build your own community online. And for the alumni of your school, for your nonprofit, for your company, if you wanted to do a brainstorm with remote team members, you could build a space where you could share files and have a chat and have a forum and all that kind of stuff. So that was 2001. It was too early. It was in the wrong country. We did it in French, in France. Like we ticked all the boxes of you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. So obviously it failed. Well, it didn't fail in a sense that it closed, but it failed in a sense that it was definitely not a success. And we iterated that to a service business where we basically sold the technology as a white label technology to larger brands. Say, hey, build your own community, build your own, work group, and so on and so forth. So we did that for many years, almost becoming an agency with a technology back product that we could use to funnel service revenue and product revenue. So we were using the service to sell the product, and we were hoping that the product with its MRR and its recurring business model would eventually make us, create a sustainable business model for us. We did that for many, many years. It never took off. And one day at a conference, a lady was listening to one of my many talks about why you should build your own community online. And she came to me at the end and she said, "Oh, I love what you said, but I'm planning to build a contest on Facebook." It was 2008 or 2009. "And do you do that?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And we have never done any of that. But when you're hungry and when you need to eat, you are going to say yes to anything and just fake it until you make it. So I went back to the company and told my co-founder and our two developers at the time, "Hey guys, you have to learn this Facebook API because I found a way for us to make $15,000. So we built our first Facebook contest in 2009, and it was very successful because that lady was the communication director of the FIA. The FIA is the organization that owns Formula One. So I'll let you imagine how much money they have. And WRC, they are the two sports that they own. And so we did that, very successful. We did second, third, 10th. And then we started doing a lot of Facebook contests and promotions. But again, service business, agency, and I hated it. And it became very competitive. And the 15,000 a piece we sold in 2009 became 6,000 a piece in 2010. Because more and more competition. Every time something becomes, kind of well known and everybody wants it, then there are a lot of people coming into that market and trying to serve it. saying and using the price as a leverage to get into the market.
Yeah.
And we saw a company in America called Wildfire that was doing that, but with a self-serve platform. We said, oh, that's exactly what we want to do. It's software, it's product. So we basically took all the contests and promotions we had done before, self-serve, not self-serve, but we turned them into self-serve. And that's how Agorapulse was born. So when you ask me the question, how did you come to Agorapulse? We come to build Agorapulse exactly like that, completely randomly by answering a prospect question at a conference and then realizing we didn't like the service business and then seeing someone who did better with the product business and this is what we want to do and just trying that. As you may know, there is no more contest and promotion Facebook on our product today. It is completely gone. It's erased from the surface of the earth, which is telling you that we've pivoted several times since then and our business today is completely different. So usually I get the question because people think that entrepreneurs have a grand vision and they know exactly where they're going from day one. I always tell people it's mostly not the case. Most entrepreneurs are just good at dealing with chaos and struggle and issues and pivoting and changing and adapting. And that's what makes a great businesses. I don't know if you know that, but Slack was never Slack when they got started. It was something completely different. And examples like that, there are one by the dozen. There are many, many of them. And my advice is always don't have a grand vision, have a vision, have something you want to start with, but be aware that this is probably not going to be the thing that's going to work. And you will have to adapt and change a lot.
Yeah. I love that story. That is fantastic. Yes, you hear that all the time. There's so many stories that entrepreneurship is not just like this linear path. It is a random go where your instinct tells you, figure it out, just do the next thing. And eventually and then hopefully, right. So many of them fail, but hopefully you find something. So hats off to you that you navigated that and got to where you are today. That's a great story.
Thanks. Thank you.
So the problem that you're solving today for people, because you're exactly right. It's a game of iteration today, right? We're iterating and iterating. And, I always say the failure is the greatest teacher, it prepares you for the success. So the problem that you're solving today, who goes to Agorapulse today for what issue?
Yeah. So the problem we solved after we started solving the contest and promotion on Facebook. The contest and promotion on Facebook was solving one problem. Is like we have to have a social presence. We have to have a followership on social media. Oh, how do we do that? We have nothing. Oh, a contest will allow us to build a followership. So that's how it got started in 2010, 2011. Then very quickly we realized, okay, Facebook doesn't like that. They don't want that. At some point they're going to kill that, which they eventually did. But we ask ourselves this question: what do the people we're selling today do need on a daily basis that we should build next? And then we realize, okay, they need to post content. They need to reply to the people commenting on their content. They need to reply to the people sending them direct message, asking questions. They need to understand what's working, what's not working. So they need to measure. They need to have some kind of analytics that gives them a sense of an insight about what they're doing, which was in 2011 when we started thinking about that. The root of social media management. There were two companies that were already kind of doing that. It was Buffer, or three actually, Buffer, Hootsuite, and Sprout Social. They were in their early years. They were very nascent, very, very different from what they are today. I mean, Sprout Social entry level plan was $9 a month back then. So that gives you an idea of how it has evolved since then. And we saw that and said, okay, that's what we need to do. So we started to add Twitter, because we were only Facebook in the early days. We added Twitter, we added Instagram, I think was the second one, and then it was LinkedIn. And what we did, which gave us the success that led us to get to 1 million of annual revenue, and which basically was breaking even at the time. We invented something nobody else was doing, which will sound very duh for you now because everybody's doing it. But we invented the social media inbox. Back then, social media was a bunch of feeds. So Hootsuite, TweetDeck, if you've used them, feed. And each feed was getting you one thing, one DM from that particular Twitter account, one DM from that particular Facebook page, one set of comments from that particular Facebook page. And it was a type of content and a social profile in one feed. And so if you had 20 Facebook pages and wanted DMs for all of them, you had 20 feeds right from the get-go. And then you need the comments, 40 feeds. And so it became very chaotic and very hard to manage very quickly for people who had volume. And we looked at that and we said, this is wrong. This shouldn't work like that. There's one tool that everybody's using every day that works very differently, is the email inbox. And the email inbox is just chronological list of messages that you go through and you reply and you filter and you delete and you archive and you assign and so on and so forth. And say it should work this way. So we invented that into 2014. In 2014, there was no social inbox. Today, everybody has a social inbox, but we invented that, which was very helpful because it was our unique value prop. Nobody else had that value prop on the market. And obviously, it was not a value prop for everybody, because if you didn't have a lot of engagement and a lot of activity on your social profiles, you didn't need Agorapulse. But if you had, then you needed Agorapulse. And that helped us be relevant for that very specific subsegment of the market, people with high engagement and high activity. And what we did now, obviously then everybody copied us. Sprout copied us in 2016, 2 years later, and Hootsuite copied us in 2019, 6 years later. It took them a lot of time to get it right. I would argue that ours is still better because we were the first one, and I think we kept improving it. And not going to get into that, but I think ours is still way ahead of the others because we had this leap forward in being the first one, thinking it differently. Then the next thing we did, we started working on that in 2020, that we wanted to be our unique thing, was the ability to measure return on investment. So we filed a patent for that. I actually got the first return for the patent, the PTO, Patent and Trademark Office, last week. So pretty happy about the progress we're making there.
Congratulations.
And it's not rocket science. It's still patentable, but it's not rocket science. When you think about how every marketing tool, advertising tool, email marketing tool, marketing automation tool, when you think about how they give you ROI, what do they give you? They give you kind of a funnel of who was exposed to the message, who actually saw the message, who engaged with the message. And once they engage with the message, if that engagement led to a visit to your site, what happened on your site? Did they convert? Did they view this? Did they click there? Did they sign up? Did they download something? And so on and so forth. And did they generate revenue in the end? So the more B2B, expensive, high level, you're going to measure early signs of success: download, visits, views, that kind of register to my webinar, that kind of stuff. And the more B2C, $10, $20, then you're going to measure revenue and conversion to e-commerce or sales dollars. That has been done by the advertising software, by the Facebook advertising thing, the Google advertising thing, the LinkedIn. You use Pixel. So you use all these things that are going to tell you, oh, from that ad, this is what I got. They did this and they did this and they did that and they converted. Then GA will tell you what happened to them once they got to your site, and so on and so forth. Same for HubSpot, marketing automation, or email marketing, or MailChimp for emailing newsletters, and so on and so forth. The thing was, social media was not doing any of that. None, zero. And I realized that because one of our customers came to us and she was needing that. She was doing that manually. She was creating a lot of links that she was adding UTMs to make them trackable, and then going to Google Analytics and trying to understand, okay, when people click on the responses I put in the comments on my ads and they go to my site, do they buy my stuff, or do they add to their cart, and so on and so forth. And she was doing that all manually, and it was a nightmare. And I thought, oh my God, this is such a nightmare. Obviously, not everybody does that, but a lot of people did. That's what our research showed. We looked at all our comments and posts on social media, except for Instagram, because you cannot put links in posts and comments on Instagram. We looked at the data, and one post or comment out of 3 contained a link, which is quite a lot. That's 33%, 34%. That was quite significant. And then we looked at how many of them are actually tracking those. So one post out of 3, one comment out of 3 has a link. How many of them are trackable? And it was 2%. That meant that 98% was, to the trash. They would never
gone.
know. Yeah,
invisible.
Gone with the wind. And we thought, okay, there's an opportunity here that if we can automate that and make it so seamless that they don't even have to think about it, and make those 98% of woof, don't know what happened, make it like, yeah, you can know what happened. That would be groundbreaking. And so that's what we launched in 2022. At the end of 2022, it was our first social media ROI attempt. Basically, again, not rocket science, based on how do the other type of software, marketing automation,
Sure.
email and ads work. Can we apply the same technique to social media? And
Right.
that's what we did, and that's what we built. And
Hmm.
now, guess what we're working on? AI.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously now it's all about how, okay, AI is a groundbreaking change to this industry, to the world, but especially to this industry, software, internet marketing for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, what problems can we solve with AI? That's a problem that people have been wanting to solve for years, but couldn't solve with the technology that was before AI. So that's
Mm,
what
mm,
we're focusing on.
mm.
And I don't think I'm gonna make any statement that could fire back at me, but it's going to highly be related to content creation and content customization to the audience. Like as of today, it's impossible to create content that you customize to different audience because it's too much work. If you want to edit videos and make them specific to TikTok, specific to Instagram, specific to Facebook, specific to LinkedIn, specific to everything,
Mhm.
that's too much work. So you basically post the same thing everywhere.
Mhm.
And I think the future is ultra personalization, whether on the content format, on our content, and that was impossible to do before AI, and it is absolutely possible to do with AI. So
Mm.
this is the next thing, the next iteration, the next pivot, and the next unique problem we want to solve.
Okay, so you touched on something that I was very curious to ask you, which was content for channels, right? So are you acknowledging that pretty much the reality is that most marketers just create one piece of content and put the same thing out across all social channels, even
Yeah.
though we probably know that's not the best thing to do? But that's kind of the
Yeah.
reality. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's very fair to say. It's very
Yeah.
true. And I think you can even expand on that and say most marketers are doing things that are not great, even though we all know those are
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love marketing because it's always like what you should do and then
Yeah.
what you have to actually have the capability to do. And
Yeah.
is the juice worth the squeeze? I always say, right? It's like, what team of people do you need in your organization to do personalization across every single, platform, right?
Yeah, it's not humanly real. It's not humanly realistic to do that with human beings, especially in Western Europe or North America. Maybe if you go in India or Pakistan or China, you can get the workforce at a cost that would maybe make sense.
Mhm.
But then the management comes in and the direction and the QA and all that. It would still be complex and
Mm.
difficult in terms of cost. You can make it work, but with AI, there's no HR management, there's no cost to deal with, and so it is
Mm.
groundbreaking in
Mm.
that manner.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question that I've always curious? And so this is I've loved having you on this show, and so thank you for coming on to our show. Uh, I've always wondered too, as a marketer, I'm always trying to figure out. There may be 10 or 12 different social media platforms available to me, but do I really need to be on all of them? Probably not. How do you decide, or what's your recommendation on how a marketer decides what are the right platforms to be on and how many should I be present in?
Yeah. For first of all, your gut are right. You shouldn't be on all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very probably not.
Yeah.
My filter, my very first gut filter is a gut filter. Is which one do you like? Which one do you enjoy? Which one do you
Okay.
get value from as a professional in your field?
Okay.
Because if you are forced to be very active and be very engaged on a platform you hate, or
Mhm.
you don't see the value, or you don't align with their values, it's going to be hard. So I use that as a filter first and foremost. For example, for me, I like LinkedIn. I enjoy LinkedIn. I go on
Mhm.
LinkedIn. I consume LinkedIn content. I get a lot of value from LinkedIn and LinkedIn content. So I can
Mhm.
see, I can relate to the value I get from it. So I kind of understand what I can give back in terms of, okay, when they do that, I like that. So I can do that for my
Mhm.
audience as well. So That's my first filter. My second filter is where is your audience hanging out? So we're selling to social media managers. So they are hanging out on LinkedIn for sure, but they're also
Mhm.
hanging out on many other platforms because they are social media managers. So they are everywhere. So we do have to go beyond what we like and what we enjoy using and getting value from just
Yeah.
to adapt to our audience. But we're still not doing all of them. I think we're on the vertical video side. We are doing all the vertical video type of platforms because we can, and it's not too hard to do.
Yeah.
But we are not. We are not. We're investing a lot less in certain networks than others because we see our audience reacting to our content more on those platforms than others. So that would
Yeah.
be the third filter. Is if you do trials like that, and thanks to the many tools, ours or others, you can try, okay, let's push this to this 5 and see what we get. You can see what you have in percentage of people engaging back. So obviously you don't want to look at raw engagement because if you have a lot of followers on this one and very few on that one, you're not going to have the same result. But if you
Mhm.
take percentage wise, how many people see it and engage back with it, that's going
Mhm.
to give you a hint of, okay, this platform works better for me because I get
Mhm.
out of my effort, I get more value, I get more feedback. And that's probably what you should use as a third filter to decide which are the right platforms for you. But no, all of them, not a good idea. It's as if you were telling me, should I do radio, TV, buses, and
Right. Yeah.
podcasts? I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right.
no,
Right. Right.
certainly
Yeah.
not. As a
Yeah.
small business,
Yeah.
certainly not.
So social media is not monolithic anymore, right? There was a time where social media probably just meant a handful, but now there's just so many.
Yeah.
So you have to be more strategic. Okay, that's a great answer. Thank you for that advice. One quick follow up. You mentioned vertical video. So I'm just for our listeners. You're talking about what? You're talking about Reels, TikTok, and what else is in there? Shorts,
Yeah,
YouTube Shorts.
Reels, TikTok, Facebook. You can also do verticals video on LinkedIn now. So that's a place you can post them as well. YouTube, obviously, as well, very big on verticals. It's almost everywhere there's video now. You got vertical, and
You got okay.
the swiping up.
Yep.
I mean, if you ignore, don't get me started on should we let this, like I have very strong opinions on the fact that a lot of people are wasting their lives on swiping up on videos. But that's sometimes I waste my life and I'm like, what am I doing? But okay, we're marketers.
Walk away from the swipe.
Yeah, walk away from the swipe. At least be aware, like have awareness of what you're doing. And that's
Yeah.
that's probably time you're never going to get back. Well, it's not probably, it is time you're never going to get back.
Yeah.
But we have to acknowledge as marketers that a lot of people are doing that. And if at least the swipe thing can give them some level of value, then we're doing some good in the world. So we're definitely trying to test on those areas and post those vertical videos on all the platforms that all of them.
Right.
Mm.
So, as a marketer who has to report, right, back to their PE firm or whatever, I mean, yes, social media managers do, but the CMO at the company is asking that social media manager to say, what does it get our business, right? We inherently understand the value of building community. We inherently understand some value of engagement, but you're exactly right, right? The marketing leader must deliver ROI and they must articulate that and explain it the best they can to boards and so forth. So you productize that in your organization, but talk to me about some of the metrics, the actual metrics that some people see today on ROI beyond the vanity metrics, right? Because everybody's saying, "Oh, I got this many click-throughs," and that's great, but can you go further on that? And how do some great examples articulate that?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, at the end of the day, you want revenue. That's what you want. So if you can't tie back what the revenue that you got to something that happened on social media, you're the king or the queen of the room, of the boardroom for sure. So what we've seen is that it works well with low price, not low price, but it doesn't work well with 20,000 a year software products. It's really, really hard to connect the end revenue with something that happened on social media day one. You may be able to track, oh, they participated into this webinar from that LinkedIn post and so on and so forth. That you can do. But then it becomes a blend of activities and a blend of levels of exposure. They were exposed to our message 6, 7, 8 times in the past 12 months. And eventually when they did an RFP, they came to us and we were we made the list, which is what you're trying to do. So that's in general, high ticket B2B is hard to attribute, and tracking attribution for high ticket B2B is a very, very difficult job. So if you are lower ticket, let's say 100 a month or 200 a month or even 50 or less, then the attribution works better and better, because people are going to be in a position to make a purchase right after they did something on an email, on a website, on social media. So the examples we've seen are examples of companies that are selling things that are not 20K a year big software contract. And just to give you a couple of examples, a couple of strategies that I've seen that I liked that were really inspiring and really good. There's one that's a construction company. They sell construction stuff to construction workers in Brazil. And they do explainer videos on YouTube. A lot of explainer videos. This is how you do this, and this style, you stick it this way, and this hammer, use it this way. And like, obviously, if you're doing DIY or renovation, there is so much you have to learn about concrete and tiles and this and plumbing and electricity and so on and so forth. And those guys, they're selling the equipment and the tools, so people who do the work can actually get the work done. And they're doing those videos to help those people to learn how to do the work, how to renovate a roof and put a roof window and stuff like that. And on each of those videos, they have, oh, you want to buy this roof window? Here it is. They have several models and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And that company generated around $50,000 a month of direct sales from their explainer videos, because they do the explainer video and then they put the link in the video description. And that link led to a page where people could actually buy the thing. The glue, the tile, the roof window, anything that the explainer video was about. So if you have a product that is explaining how people can use your product, if you have a business that where you can explain to people how they can use your product or your products, like all the things that you sell, very, very relevant for e-commerce when you sell is about stuff that people want to learn to use or need to learn to use. That's a very relevant strategy. If your business is about that, great strategy to try. That's number one. And it's a great strategy to try on YouTube and not on TikTok and LinkedIn and anywhere else, because the content lives and stays there. It's like a search engine, as you know. So if you search for how do I install a roof window with tile of that type and yada, 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 boom, YouTube video is here. It's a strategy that's evergreen. It's going to stay there. It's going to stay visible. If you go in the feed of TikTok, you disappear in 15 seconds. Well, you're going to argue people can search on TikTok, and this is true, but it's never going to be as visible and present as it will be on YouTube. So that's one example. Another example I have, e-commerce company in plant-based medication space. And so what they did, it was on Instagram. What they did on Instagram is they used the stories to basically give advice about specific disease, specific health issues, and educating people about the health issues. And this is what it looks like. This is how you can diagnose it. These are the different kind of treatments. And so the whole story was about educating, helping, giving useful information about the health issue that they were talking about in that story. And then they said at the end of the day, if you want to learn more, we have a plant-based medication because we're believers in that. It's our DNA. We don't like chemical medication. If you want to learn more about our solution, please DM us. And as you know, from a store, you can get a DM. You can't really get a click, or it's hard to get a click. But the kind of engagement you can have is a DM. And with a DM, then you can put links and say, yes, here's the link. Go to this page, go to there. So that's the only way on Instagram where you can actually use link at scale and track what happens next. And that company was generating between $40,000 and $50,000 of plant-based medication sale directly attributed to their story to DM strategy.
Oh, wow.
The commonality between the two use cases are, what is it? It's useful content. First and foremost is that both of these companies started with delivering something that was useful to the audience. And because it was useful to the audience says, yeah, I want to learn more. Tell me more, sell me more. And that's where they got to the next step. And I think that's the thing that all the successful companies on social or with social content in general had in common. It was that willingness to spend the time and the energy to define what great content looks like in my line of business for my audience, and how can I build that. And then social media is just, it's just a channel. It's just a way to distribute that content. But it can also go by email. It can also be an ad on TV. It doesn't matter. It's just a channel. The benefit of this channel, it compounds, and that's the benefit. You get more and more. If you get more and more subscribers on YouTube, guess what? You get more and more views. You get more and more people connecting with you or following you on LinkedIn. Guess what? Your posts get more views. So what social media has done that most media has not done in the past, it's the compounding effect. When you do the right thing, you compound and get more and more people exposed to what you have to share. Do you guys know someone named Alex Hormozy in the US? Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know Alex. I met him years ago in a coaching program, and he currently have 3.8 million followers on YouTube. He had 0 followers on YouTube 5 years ago. And Alex is a successful entrepreneur and business builder with his wife, Leila. And he became very wealthy at the age of 28 or 29. I think they had like $100 million net worth at less than 30 years old. Crazy successful story. Very hard as well, lots of struggle, but crazy successful. And he said, I want to help other entrepreneurs to avoid the mistakes that I've made and to grow faster than I grew. And so I'm going to create content on YouTube by sharing everything I've learned. And it spent years, not months, not days, not quarters, years, delivering content on YouTube, starting all these videos saying, my name is Alex Hormozy. I have nothing to sell to you. I want to help you be more successful. And here's my story. And then he was sharing something about selling this, Facebook ad, whatever. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos like that. And last month, he did a book launch that made the Guinness World Record of the fastest sold book ever, non-fictional book ever, ahead of Barack Obama, Michelle Obama.
Oh, wow.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah. He made $104 million in 6 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so there's the answer to, does social media work, right?
Yeah, it does.
With good content, right?
It does, but it's been creating amazingly useful content for entrepreneurs, mostly people who want to sell content online, courses, digital content, and so on and so forth, helping them be more successful. And it took him 5 years of creating thousands, hundreds of thousands of pieces of content on social that each of them are useful and in their own way. And if brands could understand that and take examples from people like that and think, okay, you're not going to invest the kind of money and time he has invested because it's nuts and crazy. So you can't do that. You don't even have the awareness of what that takes. Yeah. And I don't either. I'm not gonna lie. He's an inspiration. I can't do what he's done. But I understand that if my brand want to be successful on social media, we had to follow this. We have to go in this direction. How can we make each and every piece of content super entertaining, super interesting, or super something, so people really want to consume it and decide I need to follow this guys. I want to subscribe. I want more of this from this guys because it's really good. It's really fun. It's really interesting. And then it compounds, and then you have business at the end of the day. But nothing comes for free.
So if I can summarize what you're saying, I go back to the comment you made earlier, which is you acknowledged, first of all, that in B2B, it is more difficult to show the attribution for social media. It just is. It's just the way it works.
Well, the big considered purchases, right?
For big considered purchases that may take long buying cycles. Yeah. It's hard to tie that back. Yeah. But what I'm hearing your advice is that you have to, though, understand and believe or just trust that putting useful content out, if you do it consistently, it will pay off. It may be hard to track it. It may be hard to tie it back. But if you understand how the system works and how the buying process works, you just have to know that there is value there. It's kind of a soft answer, but maybe that is just really the best answer there is.
It is the best answer there is. And let me tell you this. I made big mistakes in hiring marketers and marketing leaders in my company that didn't make the cut. And I had to let go and change and try it again. And so I made all the mistakes. And at one point I said, okay, that's it. I've made enough mistakes. I'm gonna run the marketing team myself.
Hmm.
And for an entire year, I've listened to 3 podcast episodes about marketing per week. So I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, and every gym session was 1 podcast episode of 45 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour.
Okay.
You've all listened to them. The HubSpot podcast, Marketing Against the Grains, was a great example. Now they're all talking about AI, so it's a bit different now. But the ex CMO from Drift also has a great podcast. So there are 3 or 4 or 5 that are really, really good, really high level, and mostly based on interviewing great marketers. So once you've listened to 100 CMOs from the best companies in the world telling you how they attribute, how they split their budget, how they build their teams, how they prove the value of the work they do as CMOs for their company. Once you've listened to all of them, I think I can tell you with certainty that I kind of know what you can expect and not expect from attribution and from measurement. So what I can tell you is that you're absolutely right. You cannot measure everything. If your goal in life is to measure everything, I'm sorry for you, because it's not going to work, and you're going to be frustrated until the rest of your life, until the end of your days. But you should measure, because what you measure, what I love to tell my team is, you're measuring the tip of the iceberg. But trust me, if you don't see any tip, there's probably no freaking iceberg. So you should at least measure the tips, because that's going to give you navigating direction. Oh, there's an iceberg here. Okay, let's go here. Oh, there's an iceberg there. Oh, wait, let's go there. Which is actually the opposite, because you're navigating. You want to avoid the iceberg, not sell to them. But here in marketing, when you see a tip of an iceberg, you want to go in that direction. That means there's probably an iceberg underneath. So you want to dig a little bit more. Oh, if I invest more, I saw a tip there. If I invest more, does that tip grow or not grow? So you have at least a vision of what's happening, even though it's just a tip. So you should measure. But if you think that every dollar you invest in something should give you the exact amount of dollar you got out, then you're immensely wrong, and you're aiming for a lot of disappointments.
Right. I will allude to you that I have done these big considered purchases, right?
Yep.
So the bottom line is, as we articulate to the boards, right? Yes, it's great if you can actually draw a straight line right back to ROI and investment. Great. But guess what? In a considered purchase that you have huge stakeholders and there's $100,000 nut on the end, guess what? If I can get engagement out of social media, that actually is a, leading indicator of maybe, or a lag indicator of some success, to your point, the tip of the iceberg. So that's okay in that scenario, as long as I have several that I can actually point to, right? And a few that I have leading indicators on.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Now, it's not a one-size-fits-all world. And there are businesses that should go all in with social media and invest a lot more than others. If you're selling nuts and bolts to old school B2B companies, going big on TikTok, probably not a great idea. But if you are selling, fashion product to travelers who also do climbing, wall climb, I don't know, like something super fancy, super sporty, super fashionable, and you probably should go all in with great looking videos with people doing the thing, and explainer video if you have a complex product that people want to learn from. If you are selling an app that helps people to get better at a foreign language, well, videos that help them with specific vocabulary. How do you go in Paris and ask for a croissant? Oh, this is how you do it. Oh, that's fun. So there are businesses and products that do call for a very social media focused marketing strategy, and others a lot less. And it's, your business. I don't. So you should know if social media makes sense based on what you sell and who you sell it to. And if it does not make a ton of sense, doesn't make a ton of sense. And I would hate for people to get out of this. Okay, social media is just for brand awareness and yada, yada, yada. No, social media can actually be for actual business, but for certain types of business in certain maturity levels. And that's something you got to try.
Yeah. I think that's really fantastic advice. You know your business and therefore know which social media channel is right for you. Yeah. It's simple, but a lot of companies still don't take the time to think through that.
Yeah, let me give you one example. My next business, because I'm already started to work on the thought of the next business, is going to be a software product that I'm going to sell to CEOs to help them manage their executive team.
Mm,
And guess what is the social? What the social? I'm already giving you the answer. Guess what is the channel I'm going to use to promote that next business? It's going to be social media. It's going
yeah,
to be LinkedIn,
got to be
100%.
LinkedIn.
Where
Yeah,
are the CEOs
yeah,
hanging out? On
yeah,
LinkedIn.
yeah,
With other CEOs asking, what do you do? What should you do? Networking and so on and so forth. Could I do that using email alone? Probably not, and it probably would be very slow and very clunky. Could I use that doing ads on Facebook? I don't think so. So on Google, certainly not. So, I mean, when you think about your business, sometimes it makes complete sense to build an organic social strategy around what
yeah,
you want to build and who you want to attract and how you want to attract them. But
yeah,
for me, that would be for a business like that would be super obvious that if I can help them organically through an organic social content strategy, of course, that's a no-brainer.
yeah,
Is it going to
yeah,
pay from day one? Of course not. But day 186, starting to pay a little bit, and day 600, I'm wealthy.
yeah. Now, okay, another question here, digging into this a bit. I think companies, I feel like companies have the harder time finding engagement on social channels. Like, I think it's easier for an individual
Yeah,
or an influencer, someone like a person, right,
yeah,
to get engagement. So, what advice do you have for them, for companies that are trying to create? They're trying to put out the useful content, right?
yeah.
Do they need to find a face for the company, or are there effective things that you can still do from a company posting standpoint?
Yeah, I think you can still do things from a company posting standpoint. But I think you're also right that if you can have a face or several faces, it's probably a good idea, and that's also why we invested into an advocacy product that we embedded into the product, because our rationale was that if you the social media manager or the marketer taking care of your social media presence for your business's social media presence or your company's social media presence, it's going to be hard if you're on your own and nobody comes and help. So
Hmm.
we build that advocacy piece where you can actually ask your employees, you can add them to the product and ask them, hey, can you share
Mm,
this? Can you like this? Can you comment this? Can you repost this? So we build that advocacy program so you can have your team or your CEO or your C levels or your CMO if you're selling to marketers,
hmm
expand the voice of your brand with their own voice, with their own
mm,
profile and their own presence. It's a tad more challenging if you're asking the founder and CEO to be the face of the company. That's doable, and the level of risk is mitigated. Let's put it this way. If you're asking the non-founding CMO, it's a little bit more complex because he or she may not be there a year from today or 2 years from today. So what are you going to do then? All that content is vanished. It's on his or her profile, and it's not on yours anymore.
hmm
So it's not a black and white situation, but it's definitely something you should consider. How can I leverage my team, my founder, my CEO, my exec, my dozens or hundreds of employees
hmm
to expand that content reach that I've posted? And again, it can be done by having them engage and relay my content by sharing it, liking it, commenting it, and making it more active. Or it can be by them posting, reposting what I've posted, by sending them, hey, this is the content I'd like you to post on your own profile if you're okay, and
mm.
make them thought leaders or things like that. So it's always a good idea to incorporate that possibility into your strategy to not be the only one who spread the word about what you're doing of your company.
It's kind of like account-based marketing, right? We want the whole team involved in
Yeah.
telling our story a little bit, right? And especially it leaves you less leveraged for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you touched on it just a little bit, but what's next for Agorapulse? You
Yeah.
said AI. I
Yeah.
mean, give us a taste.
Yeah. So obviously, there's already plenty of AI in the product, but the AI we have in the product, my product team's going to kill me, but it's the random stuff. That's what everybody else is doing. It's how do we help you with pre-drafted response to comments,
Mhm.
to private message, and so like you would have in any
Customer
um, uh,
service.
customer support. Yeah, exactly. Customer service. Everybody in customer service today, they have AI on top of it, and you should respond that. So there's that. That's already there. There's a summarization of your insights. We have dashboards and left and right and blue and green and yellow. They're everywhere. They're beautiful. They flash right and left and they're amazing. Nobody looks at them. They download them as PDF and they send them to the boss and say, "Oh, job done." I don't know what's in there. I don't know what it means, but my boss got a beautiful, shiny, flashy report. So with AI, you don't have beautiful, shiny, flashy report. You have the insight. You have, okay, what does that mean? What should you do less of and more of based on what I see here? Basically, AI is the perfect candidate to take a huge load of data that you can make no sense of because your human brain does not even comprehend what that means. And that amount of data is too much for your brain. AI is great at taking that and getting the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 insights that you should get away from that data and use to change your behavior or change what you're doing. So that's something we're doing as well. Getting the insights from the big chunk of data that we're analyzing instead of just providing reports. The third thing is, okay, you want to write something. Okay, what do you want to write? Like having kind of a chat GPT, like, please write me a post about blah, blah, blah. Here's what do you think? You want more? You want less? More formal? More casual? Blah, 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 blah. So kind of an assistant to draft the content. Again, everybody does that now. Well, I think ours is better now because it's really custom. Whether many of the product on the market have, okay, you write something and now you can expand, you can reduce, you can, so you basically have different choices of what you can do with it. Ours is a little bit more iterative, like, okay, tell us what you want. I want this. Okay, here's a proposal. What do you think? And so it's more like back and forth with an assistant rather than write something and then augment it with AI. What else did we have? Sentiment analysis, left and right, obviously. Automatic tagging. So tagging is been a topic in social media for a long time because you can tag your outgoing content, and then once you do that, we can tell you, oh, this kind of tag does a lot better than that kind of tag. So if you start tagging, okay, I'm just sharing a blog post here. Here I'm sharing a tip on this and that. Here I'm sharing a photo. Here I'm a photo of my dogs. Here, whatever. Like you're tagging to give context to the insights, to the analytics, to say, oh, this post is that kind of post, that kind of topic, that kind of campaign or whatever. And when you do that, we can basically gather all the insights we have about this tag and this keyword that you've used and give you more granular and a better understanding of what works and doesn't work on social. But that requires you to tag everything, which nobody does. And same thing for the incoming content. All the incoming DM, this is spam, this is a question, this is a rant, this is that. Okay, what do I get from social? I have people ranting and spamming and insulting me or praising me or asking me questions about my product. What do I get? Same thing, it requires you to tag. With AI, you can auto tag, which suddenly you have all the insights with none of the work, which is great. So that's also something that we've been working on.
And and you know what? Even if they're not using the dashboard, right? Yep. If you can articulate what you're learning from this process, right? That's what the CEO wants to hear. The CEO, I'm going to do one called the CEO Whisper. The CEO wants to know, what did you learn from that, right? Yep. Tell me what I should know.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've done, but again, many companies have done that as well. So we're not the only one. We've built an MCP. So if you're not familiar with AI, an MCP is basically a server where you can connect Claude or ChatGPT to your product. So we have an MCP, and if you're a customer, you can connect Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or anything. And then you can go in Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini and ask, okay, what worked in my social media presence last month? Tell me more. And then ChatGPT will go in our data and tell. So basically, you use your AI stuff, the one you use every day, and you go query it to understand what's working, not working on social media. You don't have to leave ChatGPT. It's not connected to Agorapulse. So that's, again, and something else that we've done and that many other companies are doing. The one thing I'm looking at that not many companies have done, and I don't think many companies will do, we'll see, but it's really at the inception of the content, because now we're still good at helping people take an idea that they have or a first draft that they have and augment it. Before, what we all were just doing, create a great piece of content, will help you distribute. That's everything social media management software we're doing. That was before 2024. starting in 2023, 2024, we all started to help them. Okay, give me something and I'll augment it. I'll make it better. I'll add visuals, all this and that. So that's what we've been doing with AI since then. But what none of us has done yet is like, okay, you come to me, you have nothing. You have no clue what you want to post. I'm going to tell you based on what you've been posting for the past 2 years, what all your competition is posting, what all the brand you admires are posting, especially the ones that have a lot of engagement and have a lot of success on social media. I'm going to take all this huge amount of data, which you could never see and you could never actually analyze because it's impossible. And based on that, I'm going to craft the perfect content strategy for your brand and your product and your audience. And I think that's where AI is going to be game changer for social media, business social media strategy moving forward. That's my bet.
Love it.
That sounds enticing. Very, very enticing. So we hope that can get there. Emeric, thank you so much for joining us on our on the marketing share. We really appreciate the insight. There's a lot of nuggets that you had, and I'm going to be jotting those down actually, because I think I'm going to take them right back into my normal day job, because I gotta learn how to make sure to apply this the right way. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And where do people get a hold of you?
On LinkedIn. They go on LinkedIn. They send me an invitation to connect, and they add a note and say, "Hey, I heard you on a podcast. Just say a podcast. At least I know that you come from a friend."
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I get too many invitations, and I don't deal with them.
Right. We'll have to tell them you came from the Marketing Share podcast.
Yes,
that's right. That's right.
Thanks, Emeric.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.